Hey guys, how's everybody today? So we're going to talk about something that I love today, which is the idea of blind spots. Sometimes we're so close to our singing and our journey and ourselves. It's like we can't see the forest through the trees. And then there end up being some blind spots that we're not aware of. And once we're able to move forward in our technique, in our performances, on the journey and the trajectory of our career, in a so much more aligned way when we know what the blind spots are and what the pitfalls are. So today we're talking about blind spots, and specifically 3 blind spots that I find tend to be the most common. And, we all want to think that we're doing everything that we can for our voice, for our career, to sing the way we want, to get where we want to go, to get the results that we want on this journey. Are you doing everything that you can for your singing? I bet you're not, because I have been where you are. I remember what it feels like to be so close to your singing that you can't even really see the blind spots, like I was saying before. And it might feel like you're really close, like you're just like one step away from getting the sound you want whenever you want. Like you're one performance away or one audition away from like really just like owning it and that big break happening. And so if you feel that way, pay attention today, because your singing, it's a reflection of you. And there's something that you're doing that's holding you back. And again, it happens to everyone. This is not about being judgy or, being overly critical or making you feel bad. It's about awareness and becoming aware of what's going on. So today we're going to talk about something that I think everybody can relate to, no matter where you are in your singing journey. And one of these things is bound to pop up for you, one of these blind spots, right? So we all have targets. Everyone has targets that we're trying to reach, goals that we're trying to, to get to for growing on our voices and our career. But there are these blind spots that do show up, that do prevent us from moving forward in a really powerful way. And that's what we're talking about today. The 3 most common blind spots that I see that prevent you from growing your voice to its potential and getting where you want to go in your career. So first, I want you guys to do like a really honest check-in. And I want you to ask yourself, right? Because that's what we do here, is we get super honest and we just allow ourselves to just start to see these things without judging them. So get really honest and ask yourself, are you in the mindset of doing enough to get by in your singing? Or are you in the place where every single thing you do, you are bringing your best to, your heart, your soul, your light, your intention, your resourcefulness, your commitment? Are you in that place, or are you just doing enough? Like, are you in the place where there is such a strong intention behind all the things you do? Or are you just doing, checking boxes, doing what you need to do to kind of like get by, right? Because what I'm wondering, and what I want you to start to kind of get clear on, do you really bring your intention, your commitment, your soul, your heart, your passion to everything, not just the performance? Do you bring it when you practice? Do you bring it when you listen to music to source new repertoire, maybe? Do you do it when you write, if you're a songwriter? Do you do it when you go online to explore new opportunities or auditions or things that you might, that might be ways for you to get your music out there? Do you do it when you send out emails about the gig that you have coming up? Or when you're engaging with your fans? Do you do it when you rehearse, right? Most of us are so used to being intentional and tapping into that light and that passion, that commitment when we perform, but we don't bring the same energy to our practice, to how we're doing our marketing, to how we're engaging with our fans, right? So it's like when you do these things, when you are, practicing, sourcing new music, writing, sending out emails, marketing, doing all that stuff, are you super intentional about how you want to show up? Are you really intentional about how you want to interact with yourself, with those who are your colleagues or the fans or the people who you're connecting with? Are you really intentional? Like, what kind of heart and intention do you want to bring to all those little things? Because you guys, this is a hard career to make it in. There are a lot of good singers out there. And in my experience, one of the things that separates those who kind of stay in struggling artist mode and those who really take it to the next level, the ones who take it to the next level are being really intentional about how they're showing up to all these little things, not just when they have a big opportunity. So that's what I'm talking about when I ask, are you doing enough? Right? When you rehearse, are you doing it with intention? The intention of connecting with every person on that stage with you, the intention of connecting with the audience. Are you rehearsing that? Are you rehearsing the intention, right? When you do your warm-ups, when you do your technique exercises, are you doing so with the outcome of expressing the kind of technique and artistry that you're committed to? Are you showing up that way? Or are you just blazing through? Are you checking off boxes off the list? I got to email my list today about my gig coming up. I got to email these people about like the auditions, or I got to, and it's just like, it feels like drudgery because it's not really what I want to be doing because it's not actually performing. But see, you guys, those who get the performance are the ones who are bringing that energy to everything that gets them there. And by the way, I've been there, you guys. Like, I have so done this. Totally done this where I'm just in like checking boxes mode without any real intention or connection to what I'm doing. And I know what that's like. And I know that it doesn't get me where I want to go. So that's what I mean when I ask, are you just doing enough to get by? Right? And what most people think is, what do you mean? I'm working my ass off. Like I'm clocking in my day job, maybe 2 jobs, 3 jobs, maybe I have, right? I'm organizing everything. I'm my own manager. I'm my own agent. I'm my own booker. Like I'm practicing, I'm rehearsing with my band or pianist or whatever you're doing. I'm not dipping my toe into the water. I'm doing everything. But it's not about what you're doing. It's about how you're doing all those things. It's about how you're showing up to those things. What it's really about is where your intention is, where your heart is when you're doing these things. And you may have a lot going on. You may have so much going on. You might be recording a record or setting up tons of auditions, as people start to come back and think maybe we'll audition and be able to perform again. You might feel really good because you're really busy doing, It might be kind of hard to understand what about that is holding you back in your singing and in your career. But when you're not showing up with the right intention behind all that you're doing, the heart behind it, the mindset behind it, it's not going to have the same result as when you have in mind where you want this to go and what you want to have happen. And so without that intention, you're kind of just like on autopilot, just like checking boxes. Yep. Okay. Emailed all those clubs with, my booking link to get those gigs. Yep. I practiced for 45 minutes. Yep. I needed to memorize. Yep. I did that. Yep. I did that, and there's no intention in it. There's no connection in it. And so it's like when you're in that like checking boxes thing, when you do that, you're going to get a really different result than if you think about the ultimate reason why you're doing those things, like your ultimate purpose in all of this. So for example, if you're a songwriter, let's say, and you think about all those women that you want to reach with your songs who are just like you, suffering to accept themselves, suffering they feel like they're not good enough, who will find hope and connection in your music because that's what you're writing about. Why are you making music in the first place, right? Who are you trying to connect with? What are you saying? Why is this important to you? So when you're doing the busy work, setting up auditions, networking for gigs, doing social media, right? Remember your why. Remember your purpose. Remember who you're trying to reach in that case. Like if in that example, if you're a songwriter, remember why music matters in the first place, right? So that email to that club or that next rehearsal or those otherwise obligatory Facebook posts that, you hate doing, they're going to have a totally different energy behind them when you're connected to why you're doing this. Why? Who is this going to mean something to? At the end of the day, music means something. You guys all remember going to that concert that like changed your life, that made you want to do this in the first place. That album that like spoke to you in that moment of darkness, that album that pumped you up to go do something that you didn't thought you could otherwise do. That's what we're giving people. This is why we do it, right? But whatever box you're trying to check, I got to do another this or another that or another Facebook post or another audition or whatever, right? It's going to have a whole new life behind it, you guys, when you're connected to your intention and your why, because now it stops being just a box. There's a reason. There's somebody on the other end of that that's going to benefit from this email, audition, whatever, right? So how you do something matters, you guys, because what you are eventually measured on is an accumulation of how you did all these little things. You're not being measured by the performance. You don't win the game on the field. You win the game in all the things that you did leading up to that game, right? So when you go into that audition, or so that when you book that gig, or when you make that record, right? How you did all the things that led up to that is what's going to make that a success. So, you have to be really so very intentional with all these little things that you do by keeping in mind, what am I really trying to achieve in doing this? Why am I doing this? How, like, what is my ultimate outcome, right? Is my ultimate outcome to make $1 million and to win a Grammy? Or is my ultimate outcome to like connect with as many fans as possible? If your ultimate outcome is to connect with as many fans as possible, what you do to do that is going to have a totally different trajectory and intention behind it than if my goal is to make $1 million and win a Grammy. I'll probably be a lot less successful if I'm focusing on making $1 million and winning a Grammy, because I'm not thinking about the thing that's going to get me there, which is the connection, the passion to those fans, right? So when you're doing all these other little things, be really intentional about keeping in mind about, what is my outcome? What am I really trying to do here? And how do I want to feel? Asking those questions, you guys, it takes like 30 seconds before you do anything, and it changes the game because it connects you to your intention. So like, are you doing enough to get the job done? Or are you doing something that you can really be proud of afterwards? So how you show up is everything. So show up with the right intention and the thoughtfulness behind what you're doing. And then you'll see a way different result on the other end. So that's really what the first blind spot is not knowing why you're doing this in the first place, not being intimately connected to that. And being so much more focused on the what instead of the how, instead of how you're showing up. Know why you're doing this, who you want to connect to, how you want to show up. And then bring that even to these little emails that mean nothing. Because you know what? They don't. They only mean nothing when you're not connected to your intention. So the second thing that I've noticed that tends to be a blind spot is what I call like the scattered singer syndrome. So I see singers all the time trying all these different things when it comes to their technique and the strategy of their career, finding their niche, getting traction. Like they are so scattered. And, it's like that's what's keeping them from really making an impact because it just burns them out, right? So what happens is they're getting so burnt out. Like they're so passionate and they're so committed to this dream, and they're going to try everything because something's got to work, right? And so like they're throwing energy over here and energy and money over here. And it's like they're over here and they're over there. And it's like there's 12 different things that they're doing, and their energy and attention is going out in like 12 different directions. And it's daunting because you can get into burnout mode. Like, especially when you're doing that and you're not seeing results because maybe your intention is not logged in and you're just throwing this in here and this and there and doing this program and that program because somebody told you you needed to. And it's like, so you feel like really busy, but you're not actually moving forward. And, it's like you're pulling together and picking the best of this and the best of that. And it's like you're pulling it all together and you think to yourself, it's like this Frankenstein thing. And you're thinking to yourself, it's got to work. And I'm trying to master all these different schools of thought and all ththese different strategies. And I'm taking this marketing thing over here and this music business thing over here and this technique thing and from this teacher over here who I heard was really good. And that you're in with that teacher over there because I heard that was really good in this program. And it's like, oh my God, I'm tired just thinking about it. It's not sustainable. Okay. If you're trying to master it all at once without the foundation of a solid base, it's completely unsustainable. And it's maddening, and it makes you feel like none of it's working because it's like, jack of all trades, masters none. And it's really hard to be intentional when you're doing all these disparate things, right? And so many singers, they stunt their growth in their journey to being successful because they give up on something too soon, or they allow like well-intentioned people to create doubt and pull them off the path that they were on. Like you can't be a successful singer or a successful anything really, unless you're focused intentionally on exactly what you're doing and staying the path and doing exactly what you need to do to achieve the outcome on like a very simple path. It's like pick one strategy that you're going to build that foundation on first. Become a master at that, build that foundation, make it rock solid before you add anything else onto this foundation, before you move on to anything else. So many singers I know, like they're like, wait, I'm a songwriter and I have all these songs, so it's time to record a record. But they've never worked on their voice. They feel really inconsistent when they have to play live. They, feel really insecure about how they are on stage. But yet they made this record. So they did that, right? But now the record is destined to languish because you're not playing live, right? So how are you going to support a record if you can't play live? Because nobody buys records anymore. The way you make money is by going out and touring, right? And they didn't work on their voice beforehand. So the record is probably not as good as it could have been because they didn't have that support. So it's like they're putting the cart before the horse. They didn't have the foundation. They didn't get that first, and they're trying to do all these other things. And then they're frustrated and they don't know why it's not working because they know they're talented. And it's because they didn't have a single strategy that they stayed on and they built on a foundation that they could trust, right? So how do you know if your strategy works? How do you know, right? I mean, singers get so totally waylaid by throwing all this spaghetti on the wall, doing things like out of order and falling into traps. And it's like trying all these strategies at once because it makes it really hard to know what's working and what doesn't. Like when you're trying to do all this stuff at once and you don't know, how are you going to know what's the thing that's actually moving the needle? How do you even know if you should abandon a strategy you have if you're just like throwing all this spaghetti on the wall? So the best thing to do is to pick a strategy that has proven results behind it. So what's your outcome that you want for your voice and your career? Got to get super clear on that first. How can you build a strategy if you don't know what the outcome is that you want? If you do not feel good touring, if you don't want to be on the road 250 days a year, maybe being a recording artist is not the best choice. Because you're not going to make money selling records. Nobody does anymore. That's like 20 years ago, So what's the point of doing that if you're not going to tour on the record? How are you going to make that sustainable? It's like, what do you want? What is the outcome that you want from your music, from your voice, from your career? Be super clear about what kind of singer you want to be. What kind of career do you want? What do you want the outcome of that career to be? Is it just that you want to be famous? Because I can think of a million other ways that are a lot easier than this to be famous, right? Do you have a message? Like, is that why you ultimately want to be an amazing singer? Because you know that in using your voice in this way, you'll be able to reach and inspire people who need you and who need that message. Is it that you want to make a lot of money? Because there are also a ton of other ways to make a lot of money in this industry and to lose a lot of money in this industry if you make choices that are not aligned, right? And then suffer all these psychological and emotional consequences of that, right? So get really clear on what you want. Get really clear on what the outcome is that you want for your voice, for your career, and then get really clear on how you want to be successful. Not just what the success looks like on the outside, but how you want to be successful. It is so important. How do you want to feel? And the answer cannot just be good. Like, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel peaceful, confident, secure? Do you want your voice to feel reliable? Do you want to feel sustainable? Like, what are these things? How do you want to feel? Do you want to feel authentic? Because guess what, you guys? You can get real successful in this industry being the pawn of a record label if you get that opportunity, but you may not feel peaceful or be able to be authentic in that machine, right? So if like authenticity is super important to you, you may not want to chase that record label deal. So that's why it's like, get really clear on how you want to be successful. And then pick a strategy that builds you a foundation to get that outcome. And this, when we're talking about strategies, you guys, like, pick a strategy that is simple. It may still be a lot of hard work, right? Simple doesn't mean easy. But pick a strategy that is simple with steps to follow and a clear path that has proven to work for others before you. A lot of people, they hide in activities that are just not getting them any closer to the outcome. And I'm posting a new cover every week on social media. Okay, but maybe 200 people see it if you're lucky. They're not going to go viral because that foundation has not been built. The intention is not there. The mastery, it doesn't exist yet, right? Those are the things that give a cover the best chance at going viral, not the fact that you're posting it each week, right? What are you bringing to it? Who are you as an artist? Who do I want to reach? What is my perspective? All of this stuff that you post a cover every week, it doesn't matter. It's not going to make you successful. How you do it, the foundation that you have built, that you are bringing to that matters. You have to be able to measure the outcome and the result of the activity that you're doing. That's how you're going to know if your strategy and what you're doing is working. Because I've worked with so many of you guys over the years, like, it's really easy for me to spot, if somebody's strategy is working. And it can be really easy for you to spot too. You don't need to have to do this for 20 years. Just go back and look at the last 3 months of your singing. Has my support improved? Has my resonance improved? Do I feel more confident when I go into situations that count, be it auditions or performances, recording, do I feel more reliable? Do I still feel tension and strain, right? Look at the last 3 months of your singing, because you guys, that stuff can be improved in 3 months if you have the right strategy, if you have the right support, right? If we're not talking about technique, if we're just talking about the trajectory of the career, right? If you're a recording artist, go back and look at the last 3 months, 6 months, year. Normally you can just look at 3 months, but COVID is making it wonky. I will say that. Ask yourself, if you're a recording artist, are you recording? Are your records on Spotify, Pandora? Do you have commercially released records? How are they doing? How many spins are you getting? Are music licensing companies agreeing to represent your tracks for use in film and TV? Are you booking gigs? Or were you before all this, right? Do enough fans come to your shows where you're actually making money from your shows? Or are you still doing pay to play? If you're an opera singer or a Broadway singer, before COVID, how many auditions did you go on in the last 3 months prior to the shutdown? How many times did you get into the callbacks? How many times did you book the gig? Are you booking paid equity gigs or paid AGMA gigs, or are you still in pay to play, right? For everybody, what is the ratio of time that you spend at your day job versus the time that you spend doing professional activities in your music career, right? Ask yourself, what has the last 3 months cost me in terms of paying for whatever I've been doing, right? What have I been paying for? And again, you can stretch the time frame, because I get with COVID, it's a little weird, but like, what have I been paying for? Producers, session musicians, if I'm a recording artist, maybe marketing, graphics design, photos for my recordings, headshots, paying for travel to auditions, maybe, right? Maybe touring costs, paying for rehearsal space, paying for coaches and accompanists to prepare for auditions if you're, an opera singer or a Broadway singer. What have my costs been monthly for the last 3 months or longer if you're going to stretch it out, right? So you guys can do a little accounting and easily determine if those things that you're doing are effective. Like, what's it costing you in time and money and resources? And most of all, are you getting the result that you want, that you're looking for from all those things that you're investing in? And if the answer is no, then the strategy is just not working, and it will be very obvious. And you don't have to go down the inner critic, beat yourself up rabbit hole over it. You don't have to make yourself bad because of it. You don't have to judge, right? You can just look at the numbers, look at what's going on, and you will be able to see very easily if the strategy that you're currently employing for your technique, for your career, if it's working. It will be very obvious. So all these questions that I asked just now, they're all just metrics that are reflecting your foundation. That's it. They are just a direct result of how strong the foundation of your technique, your artistry, and your mindset is with respect to this career. When you've built that foundation, when all the pieces are equally strong, your technique, your artistry, your mindset, right? You will book shows that you audition for. Obviously you're not going to book everyone. Nobody does, right? But you will book the ones that you are right for. You won't be watching some other singer live your opportunities, right? When you've built that foundation, when those pieces are all equally as strong, you will connect with fans and be able to fill a venue and make some money on a show. Your recordings will get plays because you're unique, and your authenticity, your uniqueness, your artistry will actually shine through on those recordings, and they won't just kind of languish, right? Your foundation, you guys, is made up of mastery of those three things: the technique, the artistry, and the mindset. And with mastery of those three things, you know how to make adjustments as your career ebbs and flows. It's just like tweaking dials. It's never perfect all the time. We start to see an area that maybe stops working, and then we just get to say, oh, right, I can see which part of the foundation is getting a little wonky, and I'm just going to tweak these dials. And it becomes like data, not drama. I'm telling the singers in my program all the time, go to the data, don't get stuck in the drama, because you guys are so hard on yourselves. You guys are so good at making yourselves bad and making it mean stuff that it just doesn't mean. So ultimately, that's how you're going to get where you want to go. It's just go into the data, not the drama, tweaking dials, having that foundation that you can rely on, that you can always come back to. And, it just comes down to, are you going in circles right now? Right? Do you keep doing the same thing and getting the same results because you keep employing the same strategy because you don't see the blind spots? Or are you getting closer to the outcome that you want to achieve? So look at the data from the last 3 months, 6 months, right? It will tell you the truth, which sometimes the ego mind doesn't really want to see. So we tend to sugarcoat because, sometimes it doesn't make us feel very good about ourselves. So if you look at your singing and the reality of the data, and you see, okay, I'm doing all these things and it's not really working, that's a great wake-up call. It's a great wake-up call, because then you get to ask yourself 4 really important questions. What is the outcome that I want to achieve? What is my purpose? What's the why behind the outcome? What's not working? in these 3 areas of my singing, in the technique, in the artistry, in the mindset, right? Is there something that I really have mastery in? Or do I need to kind of go back to school a little, so to speak, and find the strategy that's going to get me where I want to go, right? And then how do I build that foundation and that mastery with somebody who knows how to tweak these dials so that I can get the foundation and that mastery within myself, right? It's not complicated. So I'm going to repeat the questions, right? What's the outcome I want to achieve? What's my purpose? What's the why behind the outcome? What's not working in these 3 areas of the foundation, the technique, the artistry, and the mindset? And how do I build that foundation? How do I get that mastery in those areas with somebody who knows how to show me, somebody who knows how to tweak the dial so that I can get that foundation and that mastery within myself? And it doesn't have to be complicated. This is exactly why I created my intensive program for singers, is to help you guys build this 3-pronged foundation. You know, some people are really good at doing it themselves and some people really need support. And that doesn't make anybody more or less talented than anybody else, okay? So it's like some people really need the support to build this foundation, the technique, the artistry, and the mindset. And that's why I designed the intensive, because it's to give singers a reliable step-by-step process to do that, to build this foundation. And it's worked for so many other singers who you know, have done this, and they were just like you, feeling, you know, like, I know I've got talent, but what I'm doing is not getting me where I want to go. And so if you're listening to this and you're relating to it a lot and you're saying, yep, that's me, feeling totally scattered, burning myself out while still not getting the results or just staying at the level that I've always been. You know, if you're thinking to yourself, yep, that's me. I don't have a strategy and I'm doing all these different things and I have no idea what I'm doing. And, you know, I don't know how to turn the tide towards the success that I know I have in me. And if you're frustrated and you want something different, then I'm going to invite you to book a call with me. And I'm here to support you in getting the clarity that you're going to need that is going to turn the tide. So you're going to get clarity on this call. What is it that I want? What do I need to do to get there? Why aren't my performances, my recordings, my auditionings, why aren't they getting me where I want to go? Right? What's the missing piece? And then how do I build that foundation? And that's what I do with singers. That's what we do in the intensive. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, that you're ready for, I invite you to book a call with me. What we're going to do is we're going to get some clarity on some important things, right? Which is what's not working with where you are. Where do you want to go? Like, what do you really want? Where do you want to go? And why aren't you there yet? And is it possible that the system that I've created to build this foundation might be able to help you to remove these roadblocks, to remove these blind spots and move your singing forward? And we're going to talk about it. And if it is, great. We'll talk about what that looks like. And if it's not, that's okay too. It's not for everybody. But the point of the call is clarity. So again, if this sounds something that would be helpful to you and beneficial to you so that you don't feel stuck anymore, it's there in the banner for you right underneath here. Click the link. Go ahead, book a call. If you're relating to all this, just go ahead and book a call with me and we'll get you sorted. All right, you guys, it's been wonderful to be able to share this wisdom with you today. And I really hope that, you know, this is something that is not right for everybody. If you're just starting out on your singing career and you haven't taken one-on-one lessons with anybody for a period of time, and by a period of time, I mean like more than a month or two, like a year, you know, that's good. If you haven't done that and you're feeling all this insecurity, like go do that first. That's a part of the foundation. And this is a great time to do it. But if you have had a lot of training and you're out there hustling in your singing, in your career, and like not seeing the results, then don't waste a minute. Let's get on top of this with the foundation. It's really going to make a difference and set you up to win for the year to come. Book a call if it's something that you feel like you're ready for. Okay, guys, talk to you soon. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning into today's episode. If you want to subscribe, click the link right over there that says subscribe. And if you want to book a breakthrough session with me, which you absolutely should do, then click the link right over here that says book a call to schedule an appointment to speak with us. I'll see you on the next episode.